Well, hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to our final breathwork exploration of this Wednesday, Spiritual Experience Wednesday. Now, this one is important because I feel like a lot of the past ones have been showing the potency and potential of breathwork in terms of like somatic release, healing from trauma, healing other people's traumas, diving in some of the ancestral connections. And this experience in 2023 was a nourishing one because it was one of my first times that there was nothing that needed to be worked on. And I'll explain what I mean by that in just a little bit. But as always, I highly recommend you check out the Awakening of the Mind, the Heart, and the Gut videos. I really give all of the kudos and the grace for these experiences in terms of the psychedelic and trippy aspects of my breathwork journeys because of these primary awakenings. They really allow you to sit back in the movie theater of the body and just witness everything unfold with little resistance. And it just allows the body to get into its natural state so you can actually achieve some of these deeper healings. Like 10 out of 10, 100% hit rate type of vibe. So, as always, don't forget to smash that like, support the channel, follow if you haven't, subscribe. But we'll dive into it. So, this was January 21st, 2023, and a lot had happened in like a really short season of fall. I'd gone through a breakup. I went into my own journey of November, just really dialing in my practices, another one of my quarterly fast, stripping away and really leaning back into the things that made my heart smile. Not losing myself in relation, but also doing that deeper shadow work, if people want to call it that, but really just the deeper healing, like holding myself accountable for the things that were my shortcomings and really putting in the work and time with Source and myself to heal. So much so that, as things arise in that realm of the heart, you find someone, and that December is like, started courtship period with my current love. And that really did, again, kickstart a deeper healing and transformation that whole back end of December into the new year. So there was a lot going on. There was a lot of shifts. There was a lot of changes. There was a lot of inner looking already being done. So by the time that this breathwork journey came up, it was potent. It started off with cacao. It was with the similar practitioners, or the same practitioners, as to say, as the third video. And this is when things got really beautiful, because as those that are new to the channel, I kind of get this quad box of experience. And in this quadrant, I have, me closing my eyes, feeling my body, knowing what's going on in my experience. And in the bottom one below that, I'm in the matrix white space. Again, very ethereal, just like the movie. Everything's just like a white room, but very, it feels very heavenly. A lot like Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then across from that, diagonally, you have whatever I would say, the past experience that's kind of flashing up and getting worked through. And then below that, you have the actual feeling of that body, kind of like the opposite of where my experience is at. So I dive into the holotropic breathing, and this is the previous breath work that we've done. So it was that lower dantian, that lower belly, that lower lung, and then that upper lung, and then release. Now, what was really cool about this journey is instantly in the white space, and there was no resistance in the body. There was no tension. I didn't get caught up in any type of like tetany or any weird feelings energetically of the body. Everything was already really open. And when it came to this one, the first round was instantly in the white space, and I was standing in this essentially giant medicine wheel. It's very similar to the previous journey where it was seeing like ancestors kind of like walking towards me in the center. But in this one, it was just me standing in the center. And as I'm looking around, I noticed that there is 4 different points throughout this medicine wheel, and each one having a circle, one at north, one at east, one at south, and one at west. And by the end of the first round, I was just more so exploring the space, feeling the body fill up with energy. We go into a pause for the second round, and everything felt really nice. I kind of continued with the breath on my own, still being in that kind of ethereal space, and nothing again was getting processed or worked through. So it was really just kind of like primary 2 boxes at this point. And when it gets into the second round, this is when I start to feel different energies. Now, the familiar one was from 2 breathwork journeys ago, so 2 videos ago from this series, and it was the silver fox. I just felt like a very grounded, chill presence, and it was kind of just like in the white space. And I kind of turn around over to the west and look, and he just kind of just appears, like materializes, I guess is the best way to look at it, and just like a little gentle smile. And this is when stuff starts to get a little bit more interesting, because I start to feel that kind of like bashfulness energy come up. And at this point, I start experiencing a little bit of like the old, I would say, sensations of like childhood, that like joy, that curiosity, that play. And as I'm looking at the elder, like, the elder self of my beingness, the silver fox, he kind of does one of these and looks over. And as I turn with it, that childlike energy comes out even more, and then again materializes my child self. And it's just us three just kind of looking at each other. And for myself personally, being like, oh wow, this is a beautiful moment, like seeing the younger look at the middle age, I guess you could say, and then seeing the elder behind. And then the lines in the medicine wheel themselves, like the circles around the younger self and the elder self lit up. Mine started to kind of like pulse. It wasn't really fully lit. And you just see lines, like a pathway kind of coming towards the center, and they stayed illuminated. And then boom, that round was over. Still staying in that space. I didn't really take the foot off the gas in any of this stuff. And I should also mention, it wasn't really a frantic, intense breathing. It was just really consistent all the way through. And at this point, the mind's kind of like processing what's going on. I was like, okay, so didn't really feel like I was working through anything from worries or fears of the future, nor am I kind of holding on or dwelling in anything in the past. And then by the third round, this is where things really start to pick up. So I immediately feel like an energetic shift, and the body started to feel giant. And at this point, whenever I'm in a meditation, in like a deep state of meditation, and I start to feel like, those foam hands, it's just like, 5 times the size of your body. I started feeling the entirety of my body like that. And glimpsing in like the kind of upper right was just really just flashing light, like really bright white light. And I started to feel a really intense vibration, and like I would say like from third eye up to the crown. And then from here, that's where I turn around just like instantly and see this pole of like this giant version of kind of like myself, but very royal looking, like kind of like gold bracelets, and everything just was just brilliant white light, like light blue a little bit. If you've seen what is it? I think it's The Watchmen. It's like the Mr. I can't remember his name, but it's like the blue guy. But Dr. Manhattan, maybe. But so it's kind of like that, like bluish white color, but very like particulate, but like a being made of light. So when I was looking at that north, this is where I started to have that remembrance of just like, okay, so this is the medicine wheel. So that's spirit. So I was looking at like the highest self. And when it comes to how the matrix or how this construct works, if we want to think about the embodiment of our eternal nature within the physical flesh, it's that union of spirit and matter. Your soul is a composite. Your soul is that window of awareness. It's unique to the material and the spiritual. But when it comes to our higher self, that people call it, that is what I was introduced to. And I could feel it. And it was like me, but like oomph. Everything was just amplified in its intensity and its brilliance and its like levity and joy, but also very powerful. I could feel it. And the body started to, at this point, get really, I wouldn't say necessarily like intense in a bad way, but things were getting really energized. And I started to feel a lot of like flowing energy to my feet and kind of like back up to my stomach. And it was almost like a pulsing and pumping, dare I say, like rhythmic drumming. Uh, but when I turn to the north, I see like the higher self just standing there smiling, like brilliant smile. And as I start to feel the pull of the feet, my eyes and like internally start to look more towards the south node. And this is where like out of like, I don't even want to say like shadows, but it almost felt like out of the jungle, climbing up from the earth, was this just yoked like version of myself. And it was the primal. Like I could just see it. I could feel it, like hair. Like imagine my hair right now, like down to here, still same curly, and like everything in terms of the physique, like twice to like triple the size, just chiseled and really powerful. Like it was a very like strong, like warrior energy. Like, hey, like it's time to go. It's time to scrap. And when that version of the self came up, that's when the north node and the south node illuminated. And then that little channel and bridge went to the center. And my central light, where I was standing, started to pulse even more. And as all the lights in the ring started to connect, it was this moment of just spinning. Like everything just started to rotate. And I was being able to say, I'm not really sure if they were rotating or I was rotating, but my image of what I could see was just going from east to south to west to north. And it just kept going like that. And every one of them started to get closer and closer and closer. So I should do it like this so you can see it. So everything started to get closer and closer and closer and closer until every aspect of myself was within a hand's distance. And as I'm now on my knees, like I should say technically one knee, every version of myself kind of placed a hand on a part of the body. So it was childlike was on my left, elder was on the right, higher self was on my back, and the primal self actually placed his hand on my heart. And in this aspect, it was a huge like release. Like everything just welled up energetically and then just kind of like a new threshold, a new orbital had been achieved. And it was like I took a breath of fresh air. So leaving that round, everything just felt really calm. And from hey Mose, that was my little kitty lady. What do you want? So when that wrapped up, I was just processing. And in this state, a lot of information was just coming through. It was a lot of downloads. And the most important thing that was coming through was this reassurance of like, congratulations. Like you've been doing the work. You've really integrated the aspect of the primal, like the shadowy, the earthly aspects. And you've been stepping up and into what you were created to be. There is a moment of accountability throughout the process of healing that I was going on those past few months that brought me into a deeper understanding and just like a deeper honesty with myself and where I was going in my path. And because of that, it unlocked the doors of potential for every aspect of myself. And when you look at the medicine wheel, it's not only, the East, the child, and the West, the elder, it's yourself throughout time. And then you have the higher self and the primal self, spirit and matter. And when all of those were finally unified, there was a balance and a harmony that unlocked something in my heart. Now, the best way that I phrased it then was everything felt great. I was just feeling like I was elated. There was a new level of me that could be expressed. And that's, kind of the conclusion of this little experience. But the beauty of this one is that sense that not every breath work is intended, nor is it going to be like a deep, intense healing. A lot of it is, you leave it up to whatever needs to be witnessed in the moment. And for myself, it was just reassurance that I was on the right path. It was this reminder that you're doing great. And since then, I would say it's actually been more of an invitation that has allowed me to step deeper into what I was created to be. If you have any aspect of the archetypes of your experience that are off kilter, that are out of sync or out of balance, you're naturally going to enter into disharmony and dysregulation, and whatever chaos intentions of those areas are going to start to express and manifest themselves. So building a relationship with every aspect of that brings just more balance to your life. With the child, are you leaning into play and curiosity? With the primal, are you allowing the body to get what it needs out in terms of, I would say exercise, fitness, sleep, nutrition? The West is very more so like knowledge and applying it as wisdom. It's a gentleness. So it's not being too hard, and it's really looking at the overall aspect of mortality with things, which brings you into a natural state of gratitude. And with the higher self, it's really just that highest vibration of God. Are you being spirit led? Are you allowing yourself to be still within and have that inner security and strength that nothing outside can shake you. And at the center point, it was love. And that's something that I feel, since then, I've really just now, 2 years plus later, started to get into the swing of it, of being in a position in a place now where I feel like my capacity to give and receive love is amplified. And I'm also really doing all of the practices from a place of love and not necessarily like obligation or, oh, I need to check this off the box. It's actually allowing the truth to settle in the heart more, where you do the things because it's beyond a need, it's a want. It's like that combination. Again, I guess that is love, right? It's a combination of, you know, a yearning and like an aspiring, but also the knowledge of the necessity of it. So there is just a really beautiful sweet spot that was tasted and experienced in that breath work that really has rippled throughout my life. So yeah. I don't have any other questions with that one, and I really don't have much to say. This is a good opportunity for everyone to practice, and I've really enjoyed kind of going back through the journals and peeling back the notes of memory, looking into some of these journeys, because it's always a divine synchronicity, if you want to be cliche about it, of when these opportunities to experience pop into your life. And the journey that it's taken me on since has led me to so many more beautiful revelations, and personal breathwork journeys are also amazing things that have transformed my life. And I'll probably talk on those in a little bit, but that wraps it up for November's theme of breathwork. I'm excited to talk a little bit more into the mystical aspects of, I guess you could say, like UFO, ET, UAP stuff. Because that's coming up in December, because I've had quite a few experiences of those, and I think it'll be a fun little gift and little cool exploration to dive into, considering I have a feeling that's going to start coming up more in the zeitgeist. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed this journey of breathwork. Don't forget to give the video a like, share, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments. At this point, I just want to say I'm going to be getting a little bit more vulnerable and real as 2016 starts. And I don't want to say that these have been like not real or not authentic, but like it's always kind of like a teaser to talk about like the cool, mystical, trippy things that happen. But the deeper healing always comes in a lot of the sufferings and the shadows. And I feel like that's going to be really important to dive into for the new year. So this is an Easter egg to the Easter egg. So next month, we got a lot of cool UAP, ET happenings. And January is going to really bring a lot of the more deep and heavy moments in my life that brought about these drastic spiritual shifts and really initiated the journey. So you got a little taste to see where things are at now. And now we're going to reel it back into the past even further in January and reveal the origin story a little bit more. But with that, thanks for tapping in. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. And thanks for listening. And as always, may the fruit of knowledge offer a seed. And in that seed may your love, will, and intuition give life and nourishment. For a tree shall grow, and in its shade may you find peace, and offer peace to all who ask. Namaste. I love you so much. Thanks for dropping in. Peace.